The more you feed a sick man, the more you harm him. Hippocrates. It is a crime to feed anything to the sick. No food should be given until all symptoms are gone. The life of the patient depends upon getting rid of the putrid food still remaining in the bowels before enough putrents is absorbed to cause death. Dr. John Tilden, big fan of John, natural hygienist, came up with those 7 stages of disease, saw more pneumonia patients than any doctor living, never lost one patient because he knew what was happening. He knew the bathroom, the lymph system, was backing up into the lungs. He knew the body was using the lungs as an alternative channel of elimination, known as a fontanel. He knew to stop feeding these people and to give them an enema. And that brings up an interesting point about natural hygiene. A lot of different camps within this movement. Not everybody agrees on everything, especially along the lines of something like an enema. In fact, I was quite taken back when I found out that T.C. Fry, when he republished Tilden's book, Toxemia Explained, he took every reference to enema out of it. I didn't know that because I had originally bought the book that he published, but then I found an ebook version of, or at least an online version of Tilden's book that I could download, and I go, wait a second, he's talking about the importance of doing an enema, getting rid of that putrid food still remaining in the bowels. Now, when people do a water fast, some people have eliminations and some don't. As soon as we stop putting food in our stomach, we lose that signal that tells everything else to giddy up and go. So many times people don't have any type of activity at all. And then, of course, the body can reabsorb that stuff, cannibalize it through autolysis. Not the way I'd want to do it, but I understand the concept. But it's frustrating when you see such a lack of continuity within even one group. And I'm a real big fan of natural hygiene, as many of y'all already know. I was real excited when I first found natural hygiene. It made sense to me because they were doing what I was already doing. Every time I find information, I put it in my puzzle. I take a step back and look at my puzzle and say, hey, did that piece help me understand anything better? And then inside my puzzle, I got a whole bunch of other little bitty puzzles that I put things in so they all fit in different places. I try to make some sense out of all of this. And then when you look at the lack of continuity between what people say we should do, even within this one group, this one camp, it's challenging to make some sense out of it. A lot of people just don't really understand what's going on when you have a limited experience and then you have a whole belief system that's based upon that. And I have to, once again, repeat, I'm a big fan of natural hygiene, but I know they have some flaws, especially within some of the groups in there. And I pointed this out many times in other videos. I figured out how to fine-tune natural hygiene so that it doesn't make themselves look as stupid as it does. In fact, I'd love to start a conversation up here on this channel, on this video. You guys tell me, have you ever heard of natural hygiene? If you have, how many books have you read about natural hygiene? And then what do you think of it? Real anxious to see how many people have heard of it, haven't read any books, but they don't like it. There's a lot to like about natural hygiene. There's a lot not to like because they really don't understand. There are 3 ways to screw up the law of cause and effect. I'll put a link down below. I did a special video on this. And they understand 2 ways that the vast majority of people on this planet don't understand. But they also don't understand the 3rd way. At least most people don't. And then when people try to heal, they base things on the 3rd way we can screw up the law of cause and effect. Briefly, we have cause and effect, 2nd stage, 3rd stage of knowledge. Most people don't have what's in the 1st stage, the knowledge of how to live. That's where natural hygiene comes along. And then natural hygienists know that you don't want to interfere with the body's communication process, cause and effect. That's the 2nd way you can screw up the law of cause and effect. When you put something in between the cause and the effect so that the effect doesn't occur. That's what allopathic medicine does. they interfere with the body's communication process. I labeled that piece 106. Go to the ultimate schematic. I got piece numbers for all of this if you want to understand how it all connects to one another. But then there's a third way we can screw the law of cause and effect up, and that's what comes after the effect. And that comes from the ripple effect. Remember, we got a causal loop where effects can become causes, but then there's the knowledge loop where the effects can become knowledge. And this is where we have knowledge of how to adapt. This is the third way we can screw up the law of cause and effect, and this is the huge piece of the puzzle that most natural hygienists don't understand, and they only have one solution for that. Let the body rest. And I'll be honest, we know that's a good solution for a lot of our problems. But it's not for a lot of them because we're damaged. We just can't let the body rest if an organ's not functioning and we need what that organ does. Another thing that a lot of natural hygienists don't understand, because they'll say, well, the herbs, they suppress symptoms, and yet you can take echinacea if you're bitten by a rattlesnake and it'll save your life, or you can take milk thistle if you eat the death cap mushroom, it'll save your life. Well, the one thing that really kind of rubs me the wrong way is when they start poo-pooing a solid food vacation on juices. They say, no, it's got to be on water. And yet I'm thinking, haven't you studied Herbert Shelton enough? Doesn't he talk about what happens when you have a person who's suffering from a chronic disease? How most cases they don't have an appetite. Nothing tastes good to them. And yet there are a lot of chronic sufferers who are hungry all the time. And you'll see some strict natural hygienists say, you should only do a water fast when the time is right, when the body tells you to do it. But Herbert Shelton also said, what good does it do for a man to eat when they can't digest and assimilate what they eat? So this is the problem that our society faces, and where natural hygiene doesn't address it. Too many people have chronic conditions. Too many people cannot do a solid food vacation on water. They're not willing because they're afraid of it. They're not able, mainly because they don't know about it, but even if they did, they don't have the time or the money to take a vacation from life to make that work. And yet the natural hygienists, some of them, are so anal that they insist that if you can't do it right the first time, shouldn't do it. I remember when I first read that by one person, I didn't realize his true motives, and they're very clear right now. Because I know this clown understands that most people are afraid to do a water fast and that most people can't take the vacation from life to do it. So what he's doing was appealing to the people with a lot of money, because he charges a lot of money for this, but then he tried to make them look like, well, if you can't do the water fast, don't do a juice fast, don't do a solid food vacation on juices, just eat fruit. Well, that's not going to accomplish the same thing as quickly, and it's a lot harder. So this clown, and I call him a clown because it was all about the money for him, poo-pooing a solid food vacation on juices, saying, if I can't do it correctly the first time, shouldn't even do it, as if there's no benefit to taking a solid food vacation on juices, when in reality it's superior to water on so many different levels. It does not kick in autolysis, so there is a time and a place that will want to do that, provided you have the luxury to take a vacation from life, which most people don't. So what do we do, my friends, when we have all this conflicting information? What do we do if we're so weak we can't even turn over in bed? We got a fever and we're in pain. I'm telling you, if that's where you're at, you don't have enough energy to digest food. That's why the more you feed a sick man or a woman or child, the more you harm them. Every animal on this planet knows what to do when they stop eating. Or when they get sick, they stop eating. And yet, we think we need to eat for our strength. I'll never forget watching this great video T.C. Fry put out about his fasting retreat he had up around Lake Travis. And he was interviewing all these different people on different stages of the fast. And it was so exciting to see these people share their experience. I remember one guy was on day 21 of a water fast, And he goes, I've been doing push-ups every morning for as long as I can remember. This morning I did more push-ups than I've ever done in my life. And I haven't eaten in 3 weeks. So if you don't have any strength at the beginning of a fast, in most cases you're going to have a lot of strength toward the end. Another person I'll never forget was this one guy. I loved him because you could not hire an actor to be as authentic as this man. You just couldn't have done it. Great testimonial of he and his wife, who came in on crutches, and he comes walking in and throws the crutch at him. Don't need this crutch anymore. Got more energy. Why? Because I'm not wasting it digesting food. That's the key to a solid food vacation. You don't put the new wine in an old container. A lot of the garbage we have inside of our bowels, inside of our intestines, are in the small intestines. Remember, the surface area of our large intestines is like the palm of my hand, it's flat. Small intestines is like my fingers. Villi absorbing nutrients. Stretch that villi out and it can cover 1 or 2 tennis courts. It's a lot of surface area. Stick your hand in mud, bring it back up, and if your fingers are coated with mud, that's kind of what a lot of people's intestines are looking like. That's why it doesn't do any good to eat if we're not assimilating, digesting and assimilating that food. That's why I agree with Shelton. A solid food vacation is the best preparation for a better way of life. If you can do it on water, you don't have a bunch of heavy metals, you can afford to go somewhere, you don't have to work, you don't have family responsibilities, or if you do, you got a spouse that can take care of it, you can do that, great. For the rest of us, almost everyone else, we can take a solid food vacation on juices, and you know, when you do it, you're in for a treat.